Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Talk About Script podcast. This week entitled Being Gay is Not the Plot, brackets, No Pineapple Allowed. With me as always is our own one-named wonder like Zendaya, Charlie Carthy.
Hello, hello.
And as it's Pride Month, we thought we'd get the one known as Ali back.
Hello.
Right, so today we're going to talk about bottoms, what we do in the shadow, and our flag means death, as well as the underrated crush. So, starting with bottoms, Charlie, you watched it recently. Take us away.
You have recommended, both of you have recommended this film to me for so long now. I finally watched it, and I've never had an experience of asking myself, what is going on during, I've not had an experience like that. I got through surrealism in Poor Things just fine. What is this? What?
It starts out...
And why can't I stop watching?
It starts out so normally for about... I looked at it, it's about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you think, this is quite a slightly edgier teen comedy type thing.
And then the football player gets hit by a car.
And then the football player gets ever so lightly touched by the car. And the chaos ensues into whatever the hell this film is.
Those jocks were absolutely hilarious, though. They were such drama queens.
So, we'll get into that.
They were the gayest thing of the film, actually.
Yeah.
Everything about the film. I think that's the point, though, isn't it?
Yeah. In a film about gay girls trying to find, pursuing their love interests in high school, the gayest characters are the big burly jocks, the football players.
So just a summary, for those of you who haven't seen Bottoms, it's sitting there on Amazon Prime waiting for you to go and watch it and enjoy it thoroughly. It's basically about two girls who happen to be gay, and they're basically fed up of not finding love and not getting laid, and they're kind of trying to work out, they're at the bottom of the social order, and they're basically trying to put a plan together in order to, steal cheerleaders from jocks, basically, or just it's any girls really. They just want some girls.
They just had a crush on the cheerleaders.
Yeah.
That just happened to be with the jocks.
Yeah, because they're the hottest girls at school, I guess.
They just wanted to get some action this year.
Yeah, so it's basically riffing off the old 80s farces, things like Animal House, stuff like that, but kind of flipping it slightly from these two teenage girls' point of views. And it is crazy. Yeah, it's quite surreal, isn't it? So they think the best way to attract these teenage girls that they want to hang out with is to start a female fight club.
Yeah, there is the looming threat of the rival football team and the big game coming up, and how the rival football team, well, somebody always gets hurt around then. The men come in and attack girls around the high school, and they, take the opportunity, the two main characters take the opportunity to make a female fight club to teach self-defense, but with no actual self-defense training themselves.
No, and also there's no evidence, is there, that this has actually happened? Everyone's just like, oh no, it's the big game, and they always kill the quarterback, and people are going to die, and people are just running around screaming in corridors.
Yeah, it's just, people actually die in this, and according to their stories, nobody questions it.
It's very... Ali, what is your take on Bottoms? How many times have you seen this now?
I've only seen it once, actually.
Oh, have you?
I can. But if I close my eyes for long enough, I could watch the whole movie without hearing it. I thought it was a really good film. I think it's refreshing to see, in an LGBT film where, the two main characters are both gay, but they're not pushed into a relationship, and it's not just we're both gay, we might as well let's just get together. That'd be easier.
The reason this week's podcast is called Being Gay is Not the Plot is that everything we're looking at here, quite literally, is not about characters coming out. It's happened, or it's treated with such a it's not a big deal. So with Bottoms, the girls are out. The parents, you never see any parental figures outside the school, so the girls are just out. There's no...
And everyone in the school clearly knows.
Yeah, there's no... Bar the very opening locker scrawl. There's no real discrimination for them from being gay. I mean, there is that horrendous line where they're summoned to the principal's office.
Oh yeah,
where the principal goes with the ugly with the ugly lesbians,
yeah.
the ugly talentless lesbians come to the principal's office. But aside from that, it's not really. It's all about just this kind of craziness of high school. When we say about being quite surreal, what we mean is like it's comedically surreal. So like the jocks, the football players, wear their football kit all the time. Every time you sit, like whether it's in class or they're just around the streets, they all wear their football kit.
And the star quarterback is treated literally as the Messiah, as in during framing in the cafeteria, they have him in the middle of the table, surrounded by the other jocks, in front of the Creation of Adam painting, framed exactly like the Last Supper. He is, what was his name? Jeff?
Is it Jeff or
Is it
something?
I think it's Jeff.
Yeah.
But
Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff is the savior.
And they're all
according to
eating-
every male character in the school.
And they're all eating mush, and yet Jeff's got steak. It's like,
And
Jeff gets steak.
he's played by Nicholas Galitzine, if that's how you pronounce his surname, who's played many gay roles in the last year, actually.
but here he's playing like hyper straight, but
Yeah.
not.
Like, yeah.
To the point where he's supposed to be the biggest alpha male, but then he's like lip syncing to Total Eclipse of the Heart
Yeah.
in his bedroom and stuff like that. And like,
It just is over the top dramatic.
yeah, everything is it's very farcical, this. So it is very over the top. The writing is incredibly sharp. I don't think the script, I mean, there's quite a few things here that I think some people will watch and go, "Oh, that's a bit close." Like, I'm not sure they should be saying that, but it kind of gets away with it because the writing is so sharp and everyone takes it so seriously. You don't get the usual thing of the character walking around going, "What is going on here?" They're all in. They're all in.
Good big over him.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to Charlie about similar, like less farcical than this. Similar is the Totally Killer is also on Amazon Prime. But there, at least you've got Kin and Shipka going, "This is insane. Why are we doing this?" No one says that in Bottoms. Everyone's just like, "We're all in."
I think that's what confused the hell out of me for that, because I'm so used to characters either turning to each other or breaking the fourth wall and looking at the camera and going, "What is going on? Oh, that was so crazy," or "So that happened."
Yeah.
There's none of that.
None of that at all. But it is so incredibly put. I've watched this 3 times. Every time I've seen it, I've noticed more and more details, like around and in the timing and in the like the cinematography and the things like that, which just adds more and more humour to it. Say for instance, the fact that once the girls get called out about their female fight club thing not perhaps being as honourable as they thought, they changed the banner in the cafeteria to saying "You are what you eat," and it's like a hand holding a massive turd. It's just like really weird stuff. And like the teacher, he's teaching their class, just like literally sitting there reading a porn mag while he's teaching their class. And it's just and they're keeping the boxer in a cage at the back of the class. It's so odd. I should say, like, the cast is very young in this, and quite a lot of them haven't done that much, but there are a few. So we've got the girl who was in Shiver Baby, and this is the same director and writer from that, so that's kind of a cult movie. I haven't seen, but I've heard very good things about.
Sennett, I think.
Yeah, is one of the writers, I think.
Yeah, she's one of the. She played PJ.
Oh, okay, and there's one. That
Yeah.
makes sense. And obviously we've got the girl from The Bear is the other co-lead.
Io Adaberry.
Yeah.
There we
that's
go.
From
Io.
Yeah.
And we've also got Ruby Cruz, who plays Hazel, who I spent the whole film going, where do I know her from? And she was the lead in the recent Disney Willow TV show, playing another gay character, gay princess in that instance. Gay Disney princess. Chico, the first gay Disney princess, question mark. A show that weirdly Disney have actually removed from Disney Plus, and I don't really know why they've done that, because it's not as bad as all that.
But she was brilliant in Bottoms. Like,
yeah, understated.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And not even she built a bomb, and she's not even the craziest one.
Yeah, that's that kid.
Yeah.
There's the terrible, like there's really dark, moody kid And he's like, oh, I think everything's fine now. And then he gets like hit with some pineapple. And he's like, no, that's it. I'm going to do it.
Plan to blow up the school.
Hazel sets off the bomb and he's like, I was going to do that. Hazel's great in this. It's very difficult to really explain the chaos of this film if you haven't seen it. But
Yeah, it's hard to it's hard to explain it. We can't even repeat many quotes without swearing.
Swearing excessively.
But yeah, female fight club that forms a safe space for the girls at the school.
That does get labelled the lesbian fight club. Because then they all find out the real reason why the club started.
Yeah.
But no, around all the chaos, I remember there's one particular scene where they all sit around and start talking about like experiences that have affected them, and it's like they start going to like say like, who here's been raped, just like out of the blue, and no one puts their hand up, and then they're like, well, like questionable stuff counts, and then like they all put their hand up, and then they gradually go around and start talking about various times they've been abused and things like that, and it's like within this kind of surreal craziness. So there is like an underlying
and it's like that's the moment where they actually like, stop becoming a fight club and start becoming a found family.
Yeah, it's like a support network. Also, they start like taking it a bit more seriously about actually protecting each other rather than kind of just doing it to randomly have an excuse to be close to girls. Like when one of them falls on the cheerleader and she's like, I think I could kick your ass now. Stop smiling. And she's just like, so yeah, it does tackle. I mean, it's quite a surreal take on, on female violence. Weirdly, if you want to get really dark into it, there's this permanent threat of violence towards the girls. That's why they start the fight club in the first sense. There's lots of stuff about abuse in there, kind of hidden underneath the humour, and then obviously you get moments of empowerment through it, which help to kind of, especially the end when. Because we've already had there's one incident where obviously Hazel gets beaten up by like the biggest boxer.
Yeah, they find out about it, the fight club, and that they put her against the biggest boxer on the football team, who's like insane.
Tugger.
As we said, what was his name?
Tugger.
Of
course it is.
Yeah.
No second name.
Yeah, who they keep in a cage because, and they say, because women can do anything we can. Clearly being the football players being this bitchy clique of misogynists.
They're basically acting like the mean girls.
Yeah.
That's their role, isn't it? They're like the mean girls of the school, effectively. But then obviously you get the moment of female at the end of it where they literally do take on the football players.
Yeah.
And
like full on fight them. I'm like, way more hardcore than I thought it would be.
Oh, there's an axe kick and a sword in there, isn't there? It's like
it does get a bit extreme. I just remember watching, because funnily enough, I was watching it while doing something else at the same time.
God.
And just taking my eyes away from the other screen and just being like, oh my God, what is going on? Like, have I missed something? And then I had to go back and watch it. I was like, oh no, it's just the craziness of the actual film itself, but it really fit into it.
Yeah, and then they're resolute. Oh my God, I'm gay, and I'm not.
Yeah,
it's just like it's really like the revelations. Just like now everything's clear. Now we've beaten up all these guys. It was all so clear to me.
I've been gay this entire time.
Yeah, I'm not.
Just watch gay porn.
Yeah,
that's what I like. I like the fact as well that obviously they flip this alpha male thing, obviously with the football players being so pissy and narcissistic, and the fact that like Super Jeff is allergic to pineapple.
Yeah,
it's just like
pineapples are worse than drugs.
I mean,
with these posters up all over the school.
At the very beginning when he gets lightly tapped by the car.
That's
and then
hilarious.
He just falls over. Why, God, why? And then when they roll the credits and it's just different shots of what they're saying, and it's just like, why me? I can see the light.
And he comes in on crutches the next day. There's the back and forth, the jokes are so good because you get like the sketch, effectively, the slapstick sketch, something happens, a comment's made, and then the most ridiculous comment is used to follow up on it. So like with them at the canteen, and like the girlfriend storming in, like the music's playing, and he's like, "Why's my girlfriend moving so quickly?" And you're like, oh, so you're waiting for the slapstick bit, and then you get that, and then he's like, it's just like, are you cheating on me again? And you get the whole thing about where he's like, no, that was just with your sister, that one time, 2 times, it was no more than 3 times, 4 times. And you think that's the joke, and then you get the bit with he's like, shut up, no, that's your mum. So it's like, you get the other. I've just sworn there as well.
Yeah.
It's all good. I'll cut that out. I'll bleep it. I'll bleep it. It's almost impossible not to do, having watched Bottoms.
Yeah.
But it's just like the joke that never ends. You're expecting the joke to come. That's like with the football bit. So you get the slapstick bit of them fighting the football players, and then you get the whole like, I'm gay, I'm not, and then you think, okay, that's the joke, and then you get the, I just like watching gay porn, and it's just like there's always another line, there's always another hit coming, and that bit when she takes forever, they're like, she's got the label from the pineapple juice. They're working out how they're going to kill Jeff, and she's like putting it together so slowly, and it clearly says pineapple, and yet she has to wait to the very last piece. Oh my God! It's the sprinklers, and they're like down licking the lawn. There's pineapple. They don't make films anymore like this. We were trying to think like, what's the last film we saw that was this full on farce? And for me, I think it does go back all the way to like Animal House. I think it's even more farcical than stuff like American Pie.
I don't actually think I've seen anything.
No, because you're too young. It's very 80s. It's proper Naked Gun, Animal House, like without the nudity. That kind of absolute farcical. But there's no like, normally there's a straight person, like a straight man, for the jokes to bounce off. But in this, they're all in on it. It's just mad.
Yeah. The closest I kept thinking was, oh, this is super bad, but with girls, because it's still a story about awkward, a duo and a hanger-on as friends, as awkward teenagers coming up with a scheme to get laid with the hottest girls in school. The only difference is that the 3 awkward teenagers are just girls, but they're the exact same character types anyway. But even that didn't have the craziness that Bottoms had.
Do you know what it's reminded me of? And this is a reach. So imagine Bottoms had been like animated or stop motion. It's got the same kind of vibe as Sausage Party. Like that, just like anarchic.
Yeah.
Like absolute madness and mania. Like you think with the violence and the like.
Well.
The
kind of ending it has.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd liken it more to Big Mouth.
Big Mouth, that works as well. I just remember that bit where because throughout the film the 2 girls, their lockers keep getting repainted. So it starts off as like homophobic slur, then it goes to like hot girls, and then I can't remember what it's like liars or something, isn't it? Liar 1 and liar 2, and then the music's playing over it. I can't remember the exact song, and she's looking at the cleaner go past in slow motion, and he just looks at her and shakes his head, and she's like, no,
that's the true rock bottom.
Yeah, the dark night of the soul, if we're getting Blakey-ian about it.
Yeah.
Like, no, the cleaner won't clean my locker anymore. It's a wild time.
Yeah, strongly recommend though.
Yeah, it's sitting there on Amazon Prime, and it's going to be one of those films that gets a huge cult following. I've noticed cinemas are rescreening it every now and then. Anyway, we've seen a few of them pop up, and they always seem to fill up really quick.
They sell out really quick.
Yeah, and I get it. I would go and see it. I can only imagine what the audience would be like to go and see it. But yeah, so Bottoms is great. The script's really sharp. It's not really like anything else. In its own kind of way, it's as surreal as something like Poor Things. Very different in tone.
The way Charlie's head snapped to you.
Yeah.
In terms of surrealism.
Someone thinks a bit differently.
I just say in its surrealist edge. Obviously not in terms of any form of the content.
Yeah, absolutely not. No. I'd actually recommend if you like shows like Community, that get even, but take it further and get more ridiculous, more like a live action cartoon. Then Bottoms is.
Do you know what it is? It's 15 rated Scott Pilgrim, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like it's that kind
No.
of search. Would you disagree with that? I think
I would disagree
I think
with
the
that.
humor. You think the crazy humor of Scott Pilgrim, but taken to like the like older adult kind of humor level.
I wouldn't put them two
No,
together.
I disagree. Charlie's thinking about it.
Charlie's
It's always
Yeah,
danger.
bits and pieces,
Bits
bits of
and
it,
pieces.
bits of
Yeah.
it. I get what you
It's a
mean.
hard no.
So they disagree, but they're wrong.
Sorry,
right.
that's the gay. in this one.
So we've talked about the chap S's. Wow, about the chaps in What We Do in the Shadows and Our Flag Means Death. Talking about we want to talk about the script writing in that, and like Bottoms, a character full, two different shows, both headlined and produced by Taika Waititi, and his crew of writers, who are filled with characters of all sorts of sexualities that, everyone makes a big deal out of.
It's never even mentioned, is it? This is again. It's like being gay is not the plot.
Yeah.
It's just normal relationship drama.
But yeah, What We Do in the Shadows has been a particular favourite of mine since the original film and now the TV series. Ali, you've started watching it lately.
I have started watching it.
What do you think of it?
So when I first started it, usually I take your recommendations and I go, okay, God, I'll start this. I have to start this. But this was the easiest TV show to really fall in love with. I thought it was a bit like The Office in a way that it's filmed with the camera crew, and I really love how they do, like, you can get some of their interactions as well with the story. I think overall it's a hilarious show. I love it. I would keep rewatching it. I'm on season 3 currently. There's not a lot of episodes, so it's nice, easy watch. It is so gay.
Yeah. Some of the best lines from Matt Berry, which I can't really say, and unless Garrett's gonna bleep me out.
Oh god, we can give it a go. I've got to find a bleep sound effect.
Yeah, but sucking and fuck chaps and chapasses, tiddling, whittling, a sea of pale bodies.
You're gonna get me banned from YouTube.
I think my favorite quote is, "You're the most devious bastard in old New York City."
But yeah, he is the most unashamed horny character who just always shows their love and devotion to his wife, his lady wife. And even later in the show, you get to see why he always calls her his lady wife, because one of the other characters, the show is about a group of vampires living together in modern day New York. You have Nandor the Relentless, an ancient Persian conqueror and warrior. He has his human familiar, Guillermo, who does everything he says in the hopes of being turned into a vampire. They have, theirs is a long building romance because Guillermo so adores everything about Nandor. Starts off sycophantic, but actually does bloom into true love and romance between them. Well,
it's a running theme for this, isn't it? This kind of long-term, slightly off-key romance.
Yeah. But yeah, you've got the husband and wife, Laszlo and Nadja, and energy vampire Colin Robinson.
Who only gets full named.
Yeah, it's always Colin Robinson. Who, does he have a sexuality? Or is he ace in it? Or?
I think I would have thought that he was ace in this show because you don't actually see him in any kind of sexual relation. And there was that moment in the first season, I think it was in the first couple of episodes with that woman in the office, and he found out that she was a different kind of vampire. She wasn't like an energy, which is like an emotion one.
Evie Russell, emotional vampire.
Oh, that's it, yeah. And then they start getting together, and then their breakup scene was quite funny.
Yeah.
She's like, he says, "I'm breaking up with you," and she starts crying on the phone to someone like, "Oh, my boyfriend just broke up with me." And then he starts feeling really bad. He's like, "Oh no, I'm really sorry." He's like, "No, you can go. It's fine."
One of the bits that I love about it is you hear Nandor talk about how he had his 37 wives. But, you know, some of them were girl wives and some of them were guy wives. It's no big deal.
I love the fact that, like, Matt Berry, I mean, I've barely watched any of this, but I think I will go back to it. But I'm just imagining, like, you know, Douglas from IT Crowd, when Matt Berry was playing Douglas, this kind of, if someone had turned him into a vampire and he somehow gained some morality.
Yeah.
From that process. But that's just Matt Berry, isn't it?
Yeah. Just everything said with his voice is
It's a really smooth voice.
Yeah, well, I've said to Ali, this is what I've said to Charlie before, going slightly off topic, there's a Worms game out there where Matt Berry is like the David Attenborough nature commentator. So the worms are going about blasting each other with bazookas. and Matt Berry is like, and as you can see from doing the proper David Attenborough voiceover on these worms.
Anyway. But yeah, very easy show to get into, pretty much at any point in it. And it's funny in a way that's not trying too hard.
Yeah.
Because it's like
it feels very natural.
Yeah, these are ancient vampires and they are ridiculous and outdated. And everyone sort of goes with it. And when they try and get themselves out of trouble, like they keep hypnotizing the neighbor, and eventually
they just get themselves into more and more trouble.
Yeah, they eventually break his brain overdoing it. Yeah, they steal a police car and, you know, try and have the contest of brains versus brawn, or is it charms versus fighting your way out, getting into more ridiculous escapades with the cops.
There's that bit where Laszlo gets a bit jealous of Gregor and then says, oh, okay, fine, I won't kill you in this century, and then accidentally cuts his head off.
Yeah. Yeah, there's his lady wife has a secret lover who keeps getting his head cut off and reincarnated, and they keep meeting up and he keeps getting his head cut off, and it turns out it's done by Laszlo. And he says, "No, I won't cut your head off this time." After he's been putting up wire around a garden to hold his topiaries up, and the guy drives off on his motorbike and gets his head cut off.
And Nadia just turns back to Laszlo.
Yeah.
That's where Three Body Problem got the idea.
Yeah.
Influences everywhere.
But they're so unbothered by it all. And the human familiar, Guillermo, it's just a job for him. He just buries the bodies. He covers the tracks.
It's weird because isn't it quite like a fairly gentle show, like in its tone?
Yeah.
So you've got all that going on, but it's just kind of
It has these moments of like true romance and some heartbreak. There's I don't think you've got to this point yet, Ali, but there is a particularly heartbreaking scene in one of the season finales. Not unlike one of what happens in Our Flag Means Death at the end of the first season.
Yeah, I've found so flipping over just briefly. So Our Flag Means Death, the two scenes of that is not gentle. Is quite a harsh portrayal of beauty and romance. It's the real ups and downs of like love bordering on obsession, I would say, but like that's almost paints it too negatively because it is genuine love, two-way genuine love, but it's a harsh love, isn't it? It's very hard going between Blackbeard and Steed.
Yeah.
The gentleman pirate and the baddest man in the world.
Yeah. It's still got that across both shows. There is a gentle but well-meaning, like actually morally good person who wants to be amongst the clan of monsters, and it gets especially close with one of the baddest of the bad of these of this clan, and it's he's the outlier, but does start to win the hearts.
Yeah, so Our Flag Means Death is intriguing because Taker plays Blackbeard, and he really does go from like his whole personality flips, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like he falls completely in love, and then he changes back to being like a beyond monstrous. But then it's like Steed's just pure and very beautiful love for him that then gradually turns him round. And have you seen the full seasons of Our Flag?
Not the last, not season.
You've not seen any of season 2. Season 2
Is it season 2?
Yeah. There's
No.
So you get all the beautiful stuff like in the first season where you've got these moments of quite horrific violence and things, and you've got kind of juxtaposed with Steed. There's a moment where Steed says to him, he's just like, he's saying, I'm not sure I can pull off this suit or whatever, and Steve's just like, but you're so beautiful, and it's just so heartfelt and emotional the way he says it and the words they're using. But then in the second season, there's a really beautiful scene where I think they find, I'm trying to remember it all, but basically Blackbeard is dying or unconscious, or they found him somewhere. I think he's drowned or he's been stabbed or something. And there's a whole episode is just Steed talking to him while he's lying unconscious.
Aww.
And it's a thing of like Blackbeard's at the bottom of the ocean, and he can gradually hear and see Steed at the top.
Aww.
And then Steed turns into a mermaid and like pulls him out of the water.
Oh, nice.
And it's a really beautifully done. And what is incredibly clever with the writing is that you've seen Blackbeard do these horrific things to characters that you like, and they're really awful things. And yet, from that moment, he's completely forgiven.
Yeah.
And that is really clever writing, to take a character, like he's Anakin Skywalker levels of youngling, like killing younglings and evil, and he's redeemed just through the other characters' pure, beautiful love for him. It's incredibly well done. If you haven't seen it already, I think the first season's a bit up and down. Characters are good and the humour's good, but there's some. It is a bit up and down. It's a bit too Flight of the Conchords for me in places for its humour, which is okay. But the second season I think is beautifully written and much more emotionally impactful. So, Ali, in particular, once you've finished with... If you think Our Flag Means Death is if you think What We Do in the Shadows is the gayest show you've ever seen, wait until you get to them all dressed up as pirates.
Oh, I didn't say it was the gay show I've seen. I've watched all 15 seasons of Supernatural.
There's a difference between gay and homoerotic. I mean, we've seen Top Gun as well, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, Charlie, what's your take on what you've seen of Our Flag?
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. I only watched that first season, so I do need to catch up on season 2. And if it does, like you said, if they do have these beautifully written scenes that show Steed Bonnet and Blackbeard getting back together, then I'm all for. I'm well up for watching that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the comparison, the link that I have with What We Do in the Shadows, it's that Blackbeard is like Nandor, and they are terrible monsters. But we grow to we love them through the eyes of the guys who love them in those shows, through Steed and through Guillermo. Because Nandor the Relentless has destroyed, he's plundered villages, he has conquered nations, he has he also had his best friend horse, Jahan.
Oh, yeah.
Does he actually change character though, or is he?
Yes.
Do other people just see like?
Yeah, he has been like seen as the greatest warrior of all the vampires, at least like in America, the most famous brutal warrior, and it's over the 5 seasons. But it starts straight away in season 1. He starts softening up.
Okay.
You see him treat Guillermo really badly, like he's a slave. They keep him in a cupboard and
Dobby.
Yeah. It's always the promise of, then you'll turn me into a vampire. Yes, one day I'll do that.
Master has given Dobby a sock.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really got that kind of energy.
He actually gave him a fat pillow as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. I completely forgot about that. But we get to see him doing more for Guillermo as and as Guillermo stands up to Nandor as well, not without rejecting him, but setting his own boundaries and saying, I want to be like you, and then becoming, I just want to be with you. I just want to be here with you. But, I need an hour of sleep every week, because I work all day
I need
and
a
I
day
work
off
all
every week. I need some better snacks.
Yeah. I need actual human food.
Chips?
Yeah.
But it's just saying, because it's one thing, obviously, for us, for characters to be monstrous, but other characters to love them. But that's not the case, I don't think, with these two things, because, Steed's love changes Blackbeard.
Yeah.
And you get the same with Nandor.
With Nandor, yeah. It even grows on Laszlo. We see a bit of in the middle seasons. He learns to trust Guillermo, not really the love, but it's the trust and accept, and then they look down on humans.
Here's a weird one for you. I'm just going to make a link here that everyone's going to roll their eyes at. So it's not unlike Ferris Bueller then, because this may not fit quite right for what we do, because I'm not sure how the main character works. But if you think of Steed as the main character in our flag.
Yeah.
Right. So generally speaking, we talk about the main character's progression, and they learn as it goes on. So you think about Ferris. Ferris learns nothing. He changes the lives of those around him. So that's like Steed. Steed changes the lives of the characters around him through his own goodness.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of
I can see what you mean.
Disputed 11th genre that Blake doesn't think exists.
Okay, what does that have? Does that have a name?
Yes, it does. So if you're talking about Japanese storytelling or Eastern storytelling, they have a convention called the heavenly body. So whereby someone who comes down and visits and makes everyone's life better, but does not necessarily develop themselves.
Ah, okay.
So it's that kind of vibe. Now it's an arguable one in Western culture, but I think it's interesting. But it's an interesting take on this kind of love shall conquer all.
Yeah.
As well.
Even thinking that no one should have to change for a partner. Well, no one wants a partner to change them, but don't be these characters resist that, but then also they do change. They grow.
Well, I think in Blackbeard's case, I think the highlight is he actually does want to change.
Yeah.
It's just he's afraid of changing. He wants to change, but he can't actualize it himself. He needs that final missing piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
I think you can see that mostly in What We Do in the Shadows, when they get the ghost infestation in the house. Nandor's ghost comes out and he can't understand a word that he himself is saying. He's like, I can't believe I've forgotten my own language. And then we won't talk about Laszlo.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then with Nadia, she's just happy that she's there. First of all, it's Ghost Nadia having a go at Nadia for just staying with one man. And why haven't you been having fun? Why have you just been stuck here in New York all these years? What are you doing with your life? And then they say a quote together, and then they're like, oh, wait, actually, this is really fun. We're so cool together.
Yeah.
They're little besties. So Nadia has just stayed the same.
Yeah, but she doesn't. Yeah, she hasn't needed to change.
No,
not at that point.
There's nothing wrong with her.
No, I mean generally
at that point,
you generally find that supporting characters don't develop as much anyway. So
again, at that point. I'm just going to leave that. I'm just going to leave it there.
Well, TV shows do that thing where they suddenly go, "Oh, we've told this story. We need to move around to another character," don't they? So they gradually reframe who the main character is.
I think the thing with What We Do in the Shadows is that they're not really supporting characters.
Yeah, they're all.
They are the main characters.
They are. Yeah, they're all co-leads.
All 4 of them.
But yeah, and also it's vampires. They stagnate. They stay the same the way they were turned hundreds or in some cases thousands of years ago.
Like the baby that Laszlo got.
Yeah, the baby that Laszlo turned. Or the Baron, played by the brilliant Doug Jones, under ridiculous amounts of prosthetic and makeup, who is hilarious and still, I think he's something like 3,000 years old, and looks like a demon now.
Are we over the peak of vampires now? Because you remember when everything was vampires?
This
This seems to be the last thing.
It's not continuing,
Hang on. There's been a very recent movie, hasn't there? Vampire movie.
Oh, Abigail.
Okay. But we're putting twists on it now.
There's not as much media coming out of it as there was. Like, I get what you mean. Like, there were loads of books.
The True Blood
movies,
peak.
There was TV shows. There was Teen Wolf,
and
Twilight.
And the film, the original What We Do in the Shadows film, actively made fun of it.
Yeah.
All their gags are based off of what you read from Dracula.
Yeah. But it's like, do you remember when every week there was a zombie movie out? We got to a Twilight infested point where we were having this with vampires.
Yeah.
To the point where they didn't become scary anymore.
Yeah.
I actually wrote a thesis on that, but that's a boring story for another day.
You can do that in your next masters.
Stay tuned for Gareth's solo episode.
Just reading out my thesis on why vampires weren't scary. Anyway, moving on very quickly from that one.
But What We Do in the Shadows is on Disney Plus and BBC iPlayer. Where can we find Our Flag Means Death?
Flag Means Death is on iPlayer.
On iPlayer.
Yeah.
Cool.
Which I also presume it's on Amazon because I think it's one of those. Is it not? Not one of those that Amazon have put over?
I think it's on Hulu.
Oh.
For your American viewers.
No one has Hulu.
Listeners.
Okay. Well, it's on BBC iPlayer. Watch it while you can. I think the first season's still on there, so I'm not sure it's got a statute of limitations on it.
I don't think it does have a limit.
No. Well, hopefully not.
I think that's the only way it could be broadcasted here in the UK.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't belong to anyone else. Okay. Oh, that's probably a good thing then, because stuff like Good Omens just disappears completely.
That's on Prime.
It's on Prime, but it was on BBC.
Oh.
And it's not on now. Right. Moving on. So just before we move on to our last movie, I'm just going to throw a few shout-outs to films and things that we were thinking about looking at, but we kind of didn't do. So Good Omens was one that I think Charlie and I discussed, especially the second season.
Yeah.
And there was almost a hat trick of teen movies on here, because we could also have thrown Do Revenge in here. But I think as good as Maya Hawke is in it, it's not quite strong enough.
What's the quick summary of Do Revenge?
Oh, it's a long, convoluted story about a girl taking revenge on another girl for being really horrible to her, and ruining her life and forgetting about it. And loads of stuff keeps happening to this girl throughout, and it's like the big mystery is like, why does this keep happening? And it's like the big twist reveal, isn't it? About who the actual instigator of it is. It's worth a watch, but it's not as sharp as Bottoms or as sweet as Crush.
I think my favourite bit in that is I can't remember the actress's name, but she was in Game of Thrones. She played Sansa.
Oh yeah! Oh my God!
Do cocaine.
Yes, yeah, worth it for that. Yeah, that cameo alone. That is awesome. Absolutely brilliant. I can't remember her name though. She's really famous.
Sophie Turner.
Sophie Turner.
That's it.
That is brilliant.
Sorry, Sophie.
Yeah. See, maybe we should have talked about Do Revenge, because that bit in particular is it's on Netflix, so that's well worth checking out. I'm just trying to think. Oh, and we were also going to do All of Us Strangers, but all of us thought we all thought we'd be too sad if we watched it. Yeah. And it's so because Paul Mescal is just too good an actor, and
Andrew Scott.
And Andrew Scott, and it was we were like, yeah, Crush and Bottom sounds great, but that sounds like an actual serious film. So yeah, is there anything else you could throw in there?
There were quite a few LGBT films. Like we got Love, Simon, that came out in 2018, I think. That's in my mind for some reason. And then there's Red, White and Royal Blue that came out last year, which was a beautiful film. What else has come out?
I mean, there's
recently?
numerous others, obviously, Call Me by Your Name, etc. But I mean,
Yeah.
we tried to focus in on stuff which isn't all about the whole. We're basically films where the characters' whole identities aren't about in just being gay.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of been done now.
They've got their own story and their own themes.
Yeah.
Usually following found families and an identity. And it's just they're just gay or buy or pan or whatever in the vampire's case.
So on that note, moving on to our final film, Crush. So this is a perfect example of like the character being gay is not their final stop of character development. So Charlie hasn't seen this because he was feeling too masculine. To watch film. So,
sure, I mean, I did spend last night washing my hair.
Exactly. So, Crush is a lovely little underrated movie. It's sitting there on Disney Plus. It's got a fairly unknown cast. I think AJ is the girl who voices Moana. If
I can't pronounce her name.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken.
We have the exact same birthday.
Oh, nice.
We're the exact same age.
You're welcome.
And look where she is now.
But most of the cast haven't been in a lot. I did have a look through. But they're kind of what are they, 16, 17 supposed to be in this? But it's kind of aimed younger, isn't it? It's aimed like 12 to 15 or 12 to 14.
Teenagers.
We were very young, kind of first kiss, sweet, innocent. So Crush is, this Crush is not, I'm going to say first off, it's not the greatest film you're ever going to watch. But it's one of those really sweet kind of 6, 7 out of 10 movies. Nice humour, but it does some creatively cool stuff. So to start with, it starts with the characters already out. So there is no issue at all throughout the film about the sexuality. Some characters are gay, some characters are straight. All the parents know. Everyone's okay with it. Even the flashback the main character Paige has about coming out, her mum's under the sink, like sorting something. She's like, I think I'm gay. And her mum's just like, oh, great. I think the neighbour next door is gay. Maybe we should get you to hook up together or whatever. And it's just like, it's just a thing. Because, and this is what's key, for Paige, that is not her development that she needs. So Paige's character needs to develop to find herself. Finding herself is not just about her sexuality. That is just a very minor part of who she is. She's actually trying to find her identity within the school and what she wants to be and what she wants to do and how her artwork works. And the fact that she's got a crush is a slightly minor part of it to begin with. And then obviously the relationship builds.
There's a scene at the beginning where she's about to be suspended from the school because they think that she is the local
King Pun.
Yeah.
So the plot revolves around Paige, and basically at this awesome school, there's this person going around doing all this cool artwork called King Pun. So they're putting all these like graffiti puns up all over the school. School's getting annoyed by it because they want the wars to be boring. All the student body love King Pun. I also love the fact that the entire student body does all the same activities. So they're all part of the track team. They're all part of the arts community. Yeah. They're all part of there's no separation.
No cliques
at all. So there's none of that either. All the popular the sporties mix with the art. So it's just all about them, how they interact, really, isn't it? So it's kind of a nice light plot. So Paige gets dragged in because she's an artist, and they think, oh, we can't be bothered to find out who King Pun is, so we're going to blame Paige. So Paige, if you don't want to get suspended, you need to find out who King Pun is. And then she argues her way out of the suspension by joining the track team, isn't it?
No, so she it's sort of like both things.
Yeah.
Like, please don't suspend me. I can find out who Kingpin is by the end of the week. Blah blah blah. And then they say, well, there's no other reason to keep you on campus here. Like, you have to go. We think it's you. How are you going to do it in a week? And then she's like, oh, fine, I'll join TAC.
Yeah.
And then
they have a hilarious montage of them trying to work out what the hell she's going to do on the track team. They're like, just try and run in a straight line. They give her all the really complicated stuff to do, pole vault, all this kind of stuff. Hilarious montage. And then they're like, can you run in a straight line? It's like, it's the only straight thing about me.
And then she immediately regretted that sentence.
Yeah. So it's very, very sweet. Now, the other thing that's really cool about it is colour use. So the reason it's better than your average, there's a couple of cool things. So the colour grading generally is awesome. So there's a scene with Paige and AJ when they've been locked in a room for like 8 minutes in heaven or whatever it is. Locked in a bathroom, 7 minutes in heaven. That rhymes. That makes sense. Where they're locked in a bathroom and like one of them's in the bath and the other one's on the floor and they're just kind of chatting and they're bathed in this like really cool kind of blue light. I think it is. And like it really brings out all the skin tones and everything. So that's actually really expert, like unexpected cinematography is what I would describe it as for this type of movie.
And I think the bathroom is a different color for each couple that goes in.
Yeah. So there's some really subtle, clever color use, and it works with the art theme. And this goes throughout. There's some really cool lighting and color grading and stuff as we go through, and different emotional states of characters appear and all this kind of stuff. The other thing is, whenever Paige sees someone she has a crush on, she has a paint explosion of color. And they actually reference this. So when she's walking with her friend, and what's the first girl she's got a crush on? Is it Gabby? Gabby. Yeah. So the popular girl, because they go through the 7 gays of the school.
Oh,
like
yeah,
the 7 girls, the different types of gays.
You can't go out with Gabby. Why don't you try this one? Oh, well, no.
She's a witch.
She's a horse girl.
Yeah, there's like the one who's like non-binary, who's like on the Instagram followers.
I'm not popular enough for them. I don't have enough followers.
Yeah, and there's also the subplot about the love potion, which I only picked up this time I watched it.
The witch one.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, I would, but she's already set like 6 love spells on me.
No, but what I worked out when I watched it, I've watched it 3 times. What I worked out was, so Paige says that, and then later on there's an inconsequential throwaway remark about AJ saying, oh yeah, she's got some of my hair, right? And then right at the end of the film, when they finally get together, she comes and goes, oh my God, this was exhausting.
Oh my
and
God.
walks off. Because it's like, oh, the love potion wasn't for them to fall in love with her. It was them to fall in love with each other.
And then like it's revealed halfway through the film as well that AJ and Gabby are twins.
Yeah.
So that probably explains, because like I read online that AJ has had a really long crush on Paige, and then Paige has had a really long crush on Gabby.
Yeah. So it all makes sense.
Oh my God.
It's just like she just goes, I am so exhausted, I'm done. What's up? Anyway, so it starts off, she looks at Gabby, and then her friend calls it out. It's like, are you seeing colours explode again? She's like, yeah. It's like, is she moving in slow motion? Yeah. It's like, is there music playing? Yeah. It's like, we really need to find you a girlfriend. It's just like, but it's just, they only do it about, I think, 4 times. Something like that.
It can't be any more.
It's not
than that.
overused, and you get different colour paints and explosions and stuff like that. But it's such a sweet film. I mean, Ali, what did you think about it? I love it. Well, I love it, but it's still like a 7 out of 10. So, what would you say?
I wouldn't say it's a 7 out of 10.
No?
I don't know what it would be out of a 10. If I was 16 years old, I probably would say it's a 7 out of 10. I'm not saying that you're a 16-year-old girl, Gareth, because you're not.
That's my spirit animal.
But
Renee Rapp is my spirit animal.
She's not 16.
From Mean Girls.
Yeah, I just think if I was a lot younger, it would be fine. But I did think it was a lot like High School Musical, and a lot of the like music, I know they actually use actual tracks, but I kept thinking like, oh my God, this is High School Musical. Like, I recognize this beat is High School Musical.
It's quite poppy, isn't it?
I mean, I know I love a High School Musical, so I was like, okay, let's see where this goes. And like, you can see as soon as she said that she was going to find out who King Pun was, is that's going to be the love interest. And then, boom.
I mean, it's not Knives Out. I mean, we're not expecting massive twist, but I wasn't expecting massive twist points.
No, I wasn't. I'm not saying that I was expecting a massive twist point, but it's just like,
there's only like 5 characters.
But I thought what made it different to other teen films like it is that it's so naturally gay, and I like that not every single character was gay either. So like Paige, I don't know if she's specific, but being a lesbian.
Yeah, she is gay.
Oh, okay. And then AJ is bi, and then we've got non-binary, and then we've got horse girl.
And the Wiccan, so you've literally got an actual witch.
We've got a witch, we've got a horse girl,
yeah.
We've got one of thems.
Yeah, and it's nice how, like, because they all try and set each other up with each other and stuff. It's just sweet. This is, and also I honestly think 16 is probably too old for this. I think it's definitely aimed
I say 16 because that's when I started like actually realizing my sexuality.
Okay.
But for some people, it comes earlier.
I think
I'm just a late bloomer.
I think it's definitely aimed more 13, 14, like into. Obviously, the characters are older, but it's just so sweet. I mean, the first time I watched it, I was like, I quite like this film, but oh my god, it's sweet. Like,
I kept thinking it was a bit like Love, Simon, except in the fact that Simon in the film hadn't actually come out yet. So the story is him not only accepting his own sexuality, but the struggle of everyone else having to accept it as well. But it was just the relationship he had in the film was so sweet.
And there's some nice moments of humour with the slightly like Paige's mum and the coach, and there's like little bits that kind of push it a little bit forward. But also, I like the fact it's literally about a first kiss or that first crush. It's not like, oh my god, my life, my everything, or like,
let's get together, let's get married right now.
Yeah, it's
because that is a common
like,
joke with lesbians.
Yeah.
And lesbians meet, and then all of a sudden, the next week, they've already adopted a baby, got married, and moved in with each other. And then the week after, they're divorced.
Has-beens. Thank you, Scott Pilgrim. So there you go. So Charlie, have we inspired you to go and watch Crush?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an easy one. Like, guys, it's like 70 minutes.
It's actually an hour and 34.
No, I think that I think
including
if
credits.
you take all the credits off,
Including the credits, because I've got to stick around. Is there a post-credit scene? Is
No,
there
but
a
there's
new girl
lots-
that shows up at the end?
But
and
like Superbad's credit sequence, it's got puns and stuff, but obviously not like Superbad's.
oh, okay. But yeah,
Not
that's cool.
anything to write home
Processions
about.
of cocks.
Yeah.
like Superbad.
Oh my god, that was amazing. But yeah, I'll watch it. I actually wasn't more intrigued by the idea of the witch is making a love potion, and
It took 3 watches for me to get that. I don't know what
Yeah.
that says about me.
just because that
And
whole
you complained to me earlier about not having my full attention to the film. Otherwise, how am I supposed to get all the details?
I must.
You took 3 watches to figure that out, Gareth.
I've watched Crush obviously 3 times, and each time I've watched it, it's got better. Actually, I've noticed more each time.
I feel like I don't need to watch it more.
No,
than
but
once.
that's fine. When I first watched it, I was like, yeah, okay, it's fine. And then I kind of was getting the urge of like, I want something easy to watch that's quite light-hearted, and I want to look at the colour. So I watched it again, and I was like, oh, actually, I've picked up a bit more there. There's more nuance in the writing than I initially thought. Then the third time I watched it, particularly between Paige and AJ, the little interactions, the body language, there's more detail. So I think on the first watch, it really did come across as like 6 out of 10, sweet, fairly lightweight, and it is lightweight. But actually, having watched it a couple of times, there is craft in the writing. It's not just like a clever color gimmick and quite a sweet film. That the film is well intentioned enough, and there has been some craft with the younger characters that actually gives it a little bit more than perhaps you first think. And then just the joke with the witch is genius. It's like, it was Agatha all along.
yeah.
Okay. Right, guys. Have we got anything else to add?
I don't think so. I think just engage in more gay content and support your local gay.
Support your local gay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely the takeaway for me today is that I really have to watch Crush.
I think you'll really like it. I genuinely think you'll like it.
That sounds like a perfect Sunday afternoon, easy watching. I've got nothing to do and want,
It's just
something
nice
to enjoy.
Sometimes
kind of
nice
film.
is good.
Yeah,
I should probably watch All of Us Strangers.
Yeah,
fairly quickly as well.
And start interpreting everything with color explosions and soundtrack.
Yeah. Right. So, Bottoms underrated, but really awesome. Genuinely great. I mean, would it be too far to say it might pick up a little Oscar nomination? I don't know. For writing, screenplay.
I think if it had actually come into the cinema in UK, like it did in the US,
Yeah.
I think it would have. But I think because it went straight to streaming and now we've got Secret Little cinema
Yeah.
showings. I don't think we're gonna get that.
No, that's not.
We're
gonna
not
It's
gonna
an
get
out.
that
It's an
status.
outside shot. I mean, I don't know whether it would fall into this year's or last year, so maybe it's already gone.
Does it? I get the feeling that they don't care if they get an award. It's
Oh,
just
no.
gonna get
It's
They
shown.
don't
just something that
care.
they wanted to
They
put
don't
out
care.
there.
That film's
Yeah.
going to be around for years. That's
Yeah.
going to be a cult classic.
Yeah.
It's so good. Like, I can't emphasize. You just got to go with it.
Yeah.
Crush, which is beautifully underrated, and obviously What We Do in the Shadows and Our Flag Means Death.
Very
which-
easy to get into.
easy to get into, wonderfully weird, and depending on which side of it you are, like dealing with like the harshness and the beauty of love, really,
Yeah.
in its rawest form, especially in Our Flag,
Yeah.
and just some beautifully weird kind of New Zealand-esque writing as like slightly left field humour. And Our Flag, and what I would say about Our Flag is I struggled a little bit with some of the episodes in the first season, but that second season really is worth sticking around for. So, and What We Do in the Shadows is, of course, awesome all the way through.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Straight away.
yeah, straight in. Right, guys, no idea what the next podcast's going to be. We will see what takes our fancy.
We'll
And-
see what gets good and
Yeah, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
bye.